Dragon's Fury is arguably the best roller coaster at Chessington, and for a park aimed mostly at younger guests, it's not hard to see why. I mean, sure, the stats aren't particularly impressive. I mean, only 50 feet, less than 2,000 feet of track, so it's not particularly long. But when you're on the ride, it's actually a whole lot of fun, especially for a smaller family coaster. So, let's break down the coaster and see how it does in my review. We'll start off with the first category, the layout, and surprisingly, Dragon's Fury actually does have a really nice one. You start by dispatching and climbing the 50-foot lift hill, and this lift hill doesn't take its time. You're up there in maybe under 10 seconds, and you can hear the lift chain struggling too. Once you reach the top, you're quickly thrown down into a twisted drop, which then does a little S-bendy thing at the bottom before heading into the element that most people would call the best part of the ride, the Horseshoe. This stands out right over the entrance of the park, serving as a nice entrance feature while also being pretty fun as well. After you complete the Horseshoe, you'll go straight up into the first of many brake runs, and these are really just for capacity reasons and don't really slow you down. Once you drop off this pretty high up brake run, you go through a helix through a children's climbing frame. Not sure what went through Chessington's mind when they decided to mix playgrounds with coasters, but hey, it looks cool I guess. After the helix, you then go up into a hill, which you'd think would be an airtime hill, but it's really an airtimeless hill. Even with that in mind, it's still a pretty fun element, seeing as you've still got quite a lot of speed at this point. You then turn left and pop up into a second set of brakes, before twisting through a shallow helix and into a short second chain lift, which for some reason is very gradual. Now this is the point where the ride starts to lose some momentum, as it meanders through some slow turns, some small dips and another mid-course, before eventually finding its way back to the brakes. Overall, the first half of the layout is still very strong for a family coaster, and even with the weak second half, I'd say Dragon's Fury easily scores a 7 in layout. The next category on my list is theming and presentation, and this definitely has room for improvement. It's in the themed area Land of the Dragons, which holds a couple smaller rides other than this, and the ride layout interacts pretty well with the pathways, other rides, and of course the climbing frame. However, the queue's pretty boring to wait in, the station's also very plain, and the presentation of the ride can be improved also. When it opened, it had a vibrant green coloured track with glossy red supports, but that's not the case anymore as you can clearly see by the footage. This could be fixed with a simple repaint, though, and you could easily get it back to the amazing centerpiece it was when it opened. For now though, Dragon's Fury scores a 6 in theming and presentation. Next up in the new list of categories, we have Smoothness, and this is definitely one of this ride's strong suits. I noticed virtually zero rattle while riding this coaster, and it's definitely aged better than its sister coaster, Spinball Resort Alton Towers. There is a slight vibration as you move through the track, but you'd never notice it if you weren't looking for it. And it's not going to stop me from giving Dragon's Fury a perfect 10 for smoothness. Now, let's talk about the trains, which are some of the nicest I've sat in on a larger coaster. They're the standard Mara spinning cars, so they only hold 4 people, with 2 facing forward and 2 facing backwards. The seats are very comfortable, if a little tight, and the lap bar is also really nice, and doesn't restrict your breathing or staple you at all. No seatbelts needed, which is nice at ride this scale, and I think there's more than enough legroom. Really, aside from size, I couldn't think of a change I'd make to the seats on this coaster, so I'll give it a 9 out of 10 for the trains. Now, the area where Dragon's Fury will lose quite a few points is my last category, which is throughput. I assume this is an issue with most Mara spinning coasters, but 4 people per train just doesn't seem enough for a popular park like Chessington. The line frequently hits capacity, and you could wait up to 2 hours for a ride on a peak day. Mara themselves only advertise the ride as 550 people per hour, and that's only theoretical, and there's no way they'll actually hit that number. So, long story short, if you're heading to Chessington, either get Fury done first, or be prepared to wait in an extremely slow moving line. Dragon's Fury earns a score of 4 out of 10 in throughput. Okay, so Dragon's Fury certainly has some good and bad areas about it, but if you can time your ride right, you can still end up having a really nice time on it. The combined score comes up to 7.2 out of 10, my personal score is a 7. It's just a really fun ride that the whole family can enjoy, and it lands just inside my top 10, coming in at 9th out of the 30 coasters I've ridden. Anyways, that's going to wrap up this review. Hope you enjoyed the new format, and if you want to see more like this, then please do subscribe. I'm trying to get to 500 by the end of the year, and I'd be so grateful if you can help me hit it. Anyways, with that being said, that's me, signing off.